Okay, we are live. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody. It's Nicole here, and I am with my new friend, Zanetta. Am I saying that right? Right?
Yeah, you are, isn't that?
Okay. um, so we are here today to talk about makeup. I know I'm watching you all on Facebook this week, and I'm seeing all kinds of things. I'm seeing some people that are like, I love this. I don't have to put makeup on. And then I'm seeing some people who are like, I don't feel human anymore because I'm not wearing makeup. So what I'm hoping to do today is kind of bridge the gap for everybody. She's gonna show us some simple makeup looks that we can do at home, and even some tips on how we can look our best on Zoom, because I know a lot of us now are working from home and we're video conferencing. And if it's something that you're not used to, when you see yourself for the first time on your webcam, it can be a little you can be a little taken aback by what you look like depending on what your lighting is and things like that. So I thought it would be really awesome to give you guys some value today from this lovely professional, and she can give us some tips so that we can look our best and feel our best, so that we can still be wearing makeup while we're isolated at home, if not for anybody else, but for ourselves, so that we feel human and we feel good about ourselves. So the thing is, this is kind of funny how I'm bringing her to you. She actually lives in Texas. So we are really bridging a gap here. We met on Facebook through a mutual friends post. And that's the best way to meet people on social media, I think, because we are here to be social. And I think sometimes people are afraid to connect with people in the comments. I think sometimes we're so used to seeing people fighting in the comments, and it's nice when you actually create friendships in the comments. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's what I love about Facebook. So that's how we met. And so I'm just so thrilled that we did, because it turns out that she is also a self-taught artist. As many of you know, I am as well. Everyone who knows me knows my story. That I kind of came into the photography world completely self-taught. It was a passion of mine. And that's exactly how she came into the makeup world. It was a passion of hers. She's been in the industry for over 10 years. And she also expands her art into music and on canvas, which is awesome. And she is an awesome personality on social media. So if you guys like what you're seeing today and you want to follow more of her work, you can find her most often on Instagram at Slay Zanetta. I put the her handle in the title and in the comments of this video is where you can find it. So without further ado, I'm gonna let her talk to you guys about makeup.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm super excited to be able to connect, like you said. I'm a huge supporter when it comes to empowering women. And just like you said, I actually did a podcast not too long ago, and it was basis around that, same thing that we're doing here digitally. We were doing over a podcast, and that was the same kind of introduction that I did explain about myself, very much being a self-taught artist. I think anybody in my upbringing could agree that, if there was an opportunity for me to color, crayon, create anything, I was doing it, even on places I shouldn't have been as a little bitty girl. So as I got older, kind of venturing into different elements, you're trying to grow up, you're trying to figure out where you fit in the world. And I've done a lot of things. My resume reflects that. A lot of which, I've done the corporate thing, I've done a multitude of things, but nothing ever really felt like me. And so I would say that I went back through a divorce years and years ago. It was that self-discovery that I kind of had to go through post that, redefining who I was as an individual. And that was like the best gift in disguise, because that's where I started finding new outlets, and how much crafting makeup in itself is such an outlet for me. And so with that, it's that we have a natural, I call it, gift that's instilled in us. And as long as we're pursuing those natural gifts, whatever it is, whether it's art, whether, you know, makeup, photography, music, whatever it is, as long as you just do it, just grow it, perfect it, practice, craft it. I think that you'll find so much reward in that, so much fulfillment in that. And there's a lot of purpose in it. As you grow your business, you become an entrepreneur, you make something out of it, and it doesn't feel like work because you love what you're doing.
Yeah,
So,
it's creativity at its finest, creating something out of nothing, and you can call it your own. It's the best. So
yeah.
I love that. Yes.
Thank you. So I know that we have kind of touched base beforehand, and so I'm hoping what this can help do is, I know like you had mentioned that there's a lot of people out there that are either hosting their meetings on this method, Zoom, however they want to connect. How are we doing that? And there's even people out there that are looking for new work. And I don't know if you know, but a lot of employers out there are hosting their interviews via digital form now. This is their virtual interview. That's the mainstream right now. So this is meant to help. So whether it be you're setting up for an interview or for a meeting, or if you're just, like you said, you're just kind of wanting to feel human again, we're losing our touch space out there with the world, but you know, it's okay to want to just maybe get a little gussied up and do what you got to do around the house if it makes us feel better. I know it does for me. So as you mentioned before, I think the biggest key to making sure if you're doing a meeting online or an interview online, your lighting is going to have everything to do with everything. I mean, you can do all the beautiful makeup in the world, but if you don't have the right lighting supporting you, it just kind of defeats that. It cancels that out. So if you don't have a light of some sort, like myself, it's got, you know, what we call a halo light or a ring light, professional light, that's okay. I totally recommend utilizing your natural light. And in fact, I actually really like using the natural lights more than anything. It just gives you that beautiful glow, and there's nothing to it other than just opening up your blaze here, your shades. So that would be the best way to approach your lighting once you get started with your interview. Also, you kind of want to make sure, another little tip is make sure that your background is pretty free and clear of things, if you can help it, especially if it's for an interview. You want to make sure that there's nothing distracting the person that you're speaking to in the background. So all eyes on you, if that be the case for your situation. So in terms of a look, I thought I was talking to you earlier, and I was like, I don't know if I should just kind of have a look on me already and talk about how I did that, or versus showing you guys. And I'm very much a show and teach kind of person. I love educating women on how to do these things. So I kind of started out with a little bit of a blank canvas, as I would call a prime look. Don't mind my quarantine nails, by the way. I have not been.
Fix that. I'm gonna help you fix that after.
Oh, thank you. I have not been to the salon, so that is not my forte. But so yeah. So I'm gonna do kind of like a soft, polished, glam look. And if you're wanting to, you know, amplify that in any which way, I can give a couple key points on how to do that too. If you're wanting just to kind of feel nice and pretty around the house, or if you're just wanting to kind of do something really simple. And so, like I said, I kind of started out with a really prime look. The foundations that I use, that I like on camera in particular, is the Fenty Beauty foundation. So this stuff is like your pro filter foundation, okay? It does come in a variety of shades, and that's why I love this collection. So there's pretty much a shade for everybody. Rihanna did a wonderful job coming out with this product. I would say that it's going to be your medium to full coverage. Okay, so it can kind of start out pretty sheer, lighter, medium, getting a good coverage, or you can build it up to being a full coverage. I love this. It looks great on cameras. It looks great on all my photo shoots. This is a great foundation to have in your wardrobe. So I kind of started out with that. And then I dabble a little bit with, sometimes I'll use a lighter color of foundation or a concealer, depending on my mood. So if we're going to keep it easy, because I know not a lot of people have multiple amounts of foundations in their wardrobe like me, I'm aware of that. That's okay. So one of my favorite concealers to use is by Laura Mercier. Okay, you can get this I think you get it at Nordstrom, anywhere that Laura's collection is going to be at, you can get this. The one in particular that I get is called the Flawless Fusion. And I like this one because it is a longer wear. And it does go very well with that Fenty foundation. It doesn't kind of clash in its texture. It stays put. There's no having to go back and, make sure you're not creasing underneath. It stays put. So that's a great foundation. I'm sorry, concealer. After I put on a foundation, I will usually go back with my concealer and I'll hit the key points with that. So usually concealer, I'm going to apply right underneath the eye, right here, right in this area. I worked for a line called Trish McElroy in the past, and I loved a strategy that she taught her clients, which was the triangle of light. And that's true. It's a little triangular shape you're kind of placing underneath the eye. And the whole purpose of putting a lighter tone or concealer around the face is to lighten, which is going to bring those features forward, lifting them up. So I call it my little trick because it's like an instant little Botox eye lift when it's really just messing with colors. That's the really neat thing about makeup. Okay, so I do that. Okay, I usually will cover underneath the eye and around the forehead, usually around my T-zone, just to kind of apply that concealer. After, don't mind the lawnmowers out there. Okay, so after I do a concealer, I'm going to show you how I do something called a contour. This is going to be a very soft approach to a contour, depending on my preferred and desired look. If I'm going to be out and about, nightlife, completely different strategy, but that's not what I'm really trying to accomplish here. If you're trying to do a meeting or just a nice little easy look around the house, okay? One of my favorite go-to palettes is by Anastasia Beverly Hills. You can see I've used this palette, but this is a highlight and contour combination. So what I do is I usually will get like a nice fluffy brush. I'm going to give you a little trick on brushes. So whether it's eyeshadow, face makeup, whatever it might be, your brushes will do the most work for you. So if you're utilizing a tool and you're like, why am I not getting this to blend? Or it just doesn't look like the way that she did it. Make sure that you're paying attention to the tools that you're using. Doesn't have to be $50 brushes. There's plenty of good brushes out there. Real Techniques was one that I found years and years ago. I think I even found it at Walmart. Well, lo and behold, now Sephora and Ulta carry that because people found out about it too. So, and they're very affordable. Morphe. Morphe is also another good brand that's sold inside of Ulta. And those brushes are extremely affordable. And what I love the most about the Morphe brushes is that they are very similar to the brushes that MAC used to make. So MAC, I don't know if you guys know this, I used to be a key artist for MAC Cosmetics. My heart's broken because they've discontinued a way that they used to make their brushes. They're just not made the same anymore. So, but that's okay because I found an outlet. I found another company that does make them very similar and they're very, very affordable. So Morphe brushes is a good thing. Check it out online. I promise you, you'll love them. So, and they're not paying me to say that. So, so the trick to my brush is, especially when it comes to face color, I try to use something that's a little less dense. Okay, these white bristles that you'll typically find, these types of brushes are a little more on that synthetic side. They're meant to apply very lightly versus something like something that's not as, the shape of it's obviously very different. Okay, so it's a tighter bristle. If I were to try to contour with this, I'm going to get a very nice heavy contour, and that's because it's the way that the bristles are tightened. So they're packing that color on versus something that's a little bit more bendable. Okay, and that's going to apply that color a lot more lighter. Okay, it's going to go on a lot lighter. You're not having to fix it if you feel like you put way too much blush on or something. So when it comes to a really soft, subtle, what I call polished look, I'll use a brush like this to contour with and apply my blush. And for me, out of this particular palette, a cool tone, I have more of that yellow in my undertone. If you look in the mirror and you kind of look at your décolleté, these are a little more pink, more cool tone, more olive. So I stick to my colors when it comes to my contour for that same consistency for color. So for me, I contour, we'll call it the 3 shape. Everybody's different. And one of the things that I love to educate my ladies on is that I'll contour the way that my face is contouring, but I promise you, when I'm doing makeup on my brides or anybody else, everybody's face shape is very different. So your contour might need to be catered to your face. So I do offer lessons for that, to kind of get an idea of what's going to cater to your specific face and your specific look. And the reason I say that, the point of contouring is to suppress a feature a bit. That's just the best way I can kind of describe it, make it easy to understand. It's kind of like cutting it away in a way. So if you hear somebody say, oh, that's, she cut that face, it's because she she really got that contour on it. But the whole point is just to kind of press and suppress some parts of the face, versus the highlight and the concealer, which is bringing it forward. We're shaping. You think about coloring on a paper, you're shading, you're shaping, the same thing on the face. So for me, I like to contour because I kind of have a little bit more of that oval shape. So I just do key points around my forehead to my temple. Well, I'm kind of going through this. I'll give you guys a little happy so you can see as I'm doing it. I kind of just go around the forehead a little bit. And you can see immediately there's a little bit of an application there, and I press. You see the technique that I'm using? I'm not really swiping. I'm kind of pressing that in because that gives you more of what I refer to as your airbrush technique. We don't want it to look streaky. So I find dabbing it has always given me a very beautiful blend when I apply the makeup. Same thing for concealer. You don't want to swipe, you want to dab if you can with finger, okay? And then for me, I like to press a little bit of a contour. Old-fashioned way would have been if you were to, fashion would have said, follow your contour where those, well, that actually kind of brings your face down a bit. So what I say is where you see that cheekbone and you suck it in, you kind of want to place your contour a little bit higher because that's kind of tricking the look to be lifted. So you're not dragging the features down, okay? So I kind of place my contour, my cheekbone is, I place it right on the bone versus underneath the bone. And the reason I say that this is a great technique to use when it comes to you're utilizing your Zoom, your Skype, FaceTime, however you're meeting, interviewing, because if you do have exposed lighting, I'm sure you can agree with it, wash you out if you have coloring face. So we don't want to look washed out. So we're adding a little bit of dimension. So we look comes to front of the camera, a little bit of that shading in there versus the side that I don't. Okay. And then I'm going to I take mine a little bit underneath the chin because I've been quarantine snacking a lot. So
I think we all have. This is a really good tip, ladies.
Catching on to me.
I've got a full page of notes here.
I'm going to just shave away that double chin. So that's my trick. That is a good trick. You will thank me. But yeah, so I just kind of follow along my jawline here, okay? And it already looks like I took about 5 pounds off this side of my face. I love it. Versus this side, I don't know if you guys can see it really well, but this is, you see that? You
Oh, yeah.
got a defined jawline, and I feel a lot less fat. All right, we're good. So after you've contoured after you've contoured around your jawline, I do like to take like a smaller brush. I like to contour around my nose using that same color. I take that little brush, I dust on a little bit of that bronzer, and I just kind of go along the side of my nose a bit. And this kind of just helps give that shape to my nose. And if I want it to look smaller, I can. These are all the tricks. These are all the little secret tricks to makeup. So that's kind of how I contour, just a little bit around the nose. If your nose shape is different and maybe somebody has a part of their nose that they're just like, oh, I wish this was, that's the trick. You can utilize this little contour trick around the parts that you want to make look smaller, or even bigger, depending on how you want to look. But that's a little trick. That's a little trick, just kind of helps bring in the face a little bit more to a little narrow point of the face. That's kind of how I like to contour my own nose. And then after I'm done contouring, I usually will go back with a little bit of a highlighted powder if you have something like that, or if you have like a lighter colored powder. I play with shading the face that way too. Or little trick, if you don't have a highlight contour palette, that's okay. If you have an eyeshadow palette that has a variety of colors in any which way, sometimes you can utilize those as highlights around the face. So a lot of the artists who are doing fashion week on the runway and they can't pack a whole lot of stuff, you've got to think quick, you've got to utilize what you have, and these are all tricks that are very good tricks. So if you don't have a contour highlight palette, that's also a good alternative as well. So for me, I use a little bit of that yellow tone because again, I've got that olive tone, and I just kind of highlight around my cheekbone areas. It's almost under the eye. I don't carry it all the way under. Some people might do that if they're doing a full glam, but we're not really going for that today, versus just something that's very polished, easy, not overwhelming you guys. For those who don't feel like you're strong at doing makeup, I want to make it pretty simple. So this is really simple. You take that color and just same little brush. Of course, you can like air clean it on your little paper towel or whatever you might have in between. And I'm just kind of dusting on a little bit of that highlight. Okay. I also like to take it around the bone underneath the eyebrow. I'm just kind of hitting the key points. If you choose or want to have a little bit more of a glowy look, you can do this exact same thing with something that has more of a shimmer tone versus that something like I have right now that I was just using as more of a matte powdery. I like that when it comes to my business looks. But if you're wanting to be around the house and get your little JLo on, this is a great palette that's extremely affordable. I think I didn't pay more than $6 for this. It's by Revolution, and you can order this online at Ulta. So something like this would be great if you're trying to get your JLo glow on. Just kind of really pretty summer glow, and it has a variety of shades. So that's really cool. You can use them any time of the year. I'm never prejudiced about what time of the year to use those things. So, and then after I've highlighted around the bone, it's the brow, I take the same brush and I kind of highlight right down my T-zone a little bit, right around in here. So I'm adding a little bit of light to that, it's just balance. A little light. I'm not going to bring my highlight all the way down to my nose today because I don't really want to accentuate the length on it. I'm just kind of hit right in the bridge, okay? And sometimes you can even hit right on the tiny tip of it. That's the trick to making it look pretty small. Contour around it, but just dab a little highlight and you kind of look Like you have a little button nose if you're wanting that kind of look. And then of course, right down here for me, because my face shape again is pretty oval, I'm hitting the chin a little bit. So I want the light to hit these 3 spots for the most part, okay, just to keep it pretty simple. After I've done highlight, I usually take a blush. If I want to keep it pretty light, I was debating, I'm like, which kind of blush do I want to use here? Because I love blush. I'm a blush girl. What I think I'm going to go ahead and use is called Blush Baby. I had it right here. Let's see. Or I won't. Let me just use this guy here. Okay, so this one is pretty close to Blush Baby. It's a little bit, it's a little bit more on my mauve side. So it's not really aggressive in its tone of being super rosy. I like that way with that being a soft contour and blush. If I really wanted to just stick with one step and not work around with, you know, contouring so much, I can kind of get away with this color by doing that. And this you can get at MAC. I know for a fact they still make this color. It's Prism. So same brush. Again, that brush is really light applicating. So that same pressing technique. As you can see, I have a little bit of visible color here with that contour, and typically I just like to pick up where I left off here and I bring it to the apple of the cheek and press. Just do that, and again, this is going to help you a lot when it comes to being in front of the camera, visibly in front of other people, and that lighting only does us so much justice. It'll wash us out if we don't have a little bit of that rouge to the face. You don't want to look washed out, so I just kind of apply that there. Go back and forth until you want to go heavy, you can go heavy. If not, do you have any questions for me yet?
I know you're doing such a thorough job of explaining this. I'm taking pages of notes.
Oh.
If anybody watching has questions, I have you guys up on my phone so you can ask questions and then I'll relay them to her. But yeah, you're doing such a great job. I'm learning.
Thank you. You're a great student.
Thank you.
So I've applied that color to the face versus, you know, it's not bad, but I want to have color to the face when I'm looking at my audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see there's some dimension there.
Yes.
Okay, so after I've done that, I mean, pretty much like the face part of it is really done. I mean, unless you're wanting to go more into it, again, I can always make more tutorials down the road if you're requesting anything, and be more than happy to do a tutorial based on that request. But if we're doing just a really simplified, soft look, especially if you're not very used to wearing a lot of makeup, you just want to look your best. This is a great starting point. The other thing that I always like to emphasize on that a lot of people may overlook, there's some people out there that are blessed with natural brows being full. I am not one of those people. My hair is very, very fine around the brow, so I have to create my brow. And I personally, I've never done the microblading thing, and that's what people ask me all the time. Well, why don't you? And for me, as a makeup artist, depending on the day will depend on my mood, will depend on my brow. That's how I look at it. So, so for something like this, I would definitely recommend soft brow to go along with a soft look. The reason I emphasize the importance of a brow is because it does frame the face. It does. So it kind of ties everything together. It makes a huge difference in a very subtle way. So for this, I typically would use like a nice pencil, although I cannot find my favorite pencil for some reason right now. So I have an alternative here. But I usually would like to use a brow pencil of some sort, and I will usually just kind of brush that in. If I have a brow pencil, I always tell my clients when applying a brow with a pencil, I kind of like to brush backwards, that color in. Okay, I'm not really drawing a line in there. I will apply that brush and that color, kind of brush it in backwards, and then I will comb it back using a nice little spool. If you have a brown pencil, it usually has a little comb at the other side of it. That's a spool. And I'll use that to kind of comb back. And by doing it that way, you get a very soft, natural brown. That's a very good technique that I wish I could show you right now.
I have a question. So
yes.
for brows, because I often wonder this myself, I always seem to like to make my brows darker. Is there like a rule of thumb on what color you should choose? Like, is it okay to go a shade darker than your natural color, or no?
Honestly, there was an article written about me in Voyage Dallas, but I'll send you the link. But I wrote this in that article, which was, I'm a rule breaker. If you want to wear it a certain way, wear it that way.
Okay.
If you want to, I am. I don't like to tell people that's not the right no. I think if you feel like, there's been days that me as an artist, if I want to do a really weird mustardy brown, I'll do that. My hair is for the most part usually black. Whatever color you want to use. I think that if you're wanting to accomplish a natural, subtle look, usually a brown shade, depending on your tone. I usually go off the skin tone versus the hair, or you could use the hair, but I usually, if I have somebody who's a very strawberry blonde, she wants to wear dark brows, that's fine, because maybe that look that she's wearing, she pulls that off and it looks great. Or if you're wanting to do something just very subtle, maybe like a lighter ashy brown, you know.
Okay. That's good to know.
Or if you want to apply that, I think ashy brown. What's that?
I love getting permission from the pros to break the rules, because I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing that. So that's like great advice. Just like do what you feel good doing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole, I feel like that is the whole point of makeup. There's a time and a place for everything. You know, if you're wanting to just look a very professional, polished way, okay, there's ways to do that. If you're wanting to make yourself just feel good and like you just, express to me, I like breaking rules because this is how I feel pretty. Then more power to you, sis. There's nobody saying you can't. I have a little bit of a pomade. I'm going to try to just make this pretty easy. Like I said, the brush is probably going to be the easiest. So if you have a pomade though, which is usually like this little guy, it almost looks like an eyeliner, but it's meant for brows. This particular color I'm using is a medium brown. Like I said, my hair is kind of blacked out, but this is a brown. So browns are usually a good universal color to use when it comes to the brow. If you've ever tried using like Dior has a really, really good brow pencil. It's called Universal. It's that ashy brown because for the most part, everybody can wear that color.
Okay.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, if it's not Dior, that doesn't mean it's not good. I know plenty of dupes that you can get at Target. Maybelline has a great collection of brow and eyeliner stuff. So I definitely can recommend the Maybelline products. Are great products. So I'm going to just kind of, as you can see, I'm just kind of shaping out using a little bit of an angled brush for my brow, but more or less this is just to accomplish putting a brow on, but to show you guys the difference and how important it is to put a brow on because it really does shape the face. It completes the face.
Love it. So we have a question.
Yes.
Monica wants to know in terms of brow color, do you prefer like pencil versus twist up versus pomade, which I think you may have just answered that. She may have asked that before you started talking about the pomade, maybe. She was asking which is better, what do you prefer, the pencil, the twist up, or the pomade?
So I honestly, again, being on a professional standpoint, I can use any of them. I love them all because they all get a certain look. And depending on the look, determine what product I use. So if, for example, if I were doing a very soft polished look, a brow pencil is the way to go. Usually if you can find a brow pencil that's a little bit more on the thicker side, that's good, believe it or not. And that's just kind of getting that color in there. Also, another determining factor is the brow that you have. Your brow might be very different than the brow I have, which is none, versus somebody who has a very natural, beautiful brow. I envy women like you. In that case, I wouldn't use any of these products. I would actually probably end up using a clear gel base just to kind of comb and groom that brow so that it's shaped, you know, in one direction. And that's that. You set the brow.
I love that. And that was actually the second part of her question. She said, should you use a gel to set? So
I love, yeah, if you have a really natural brow, like it's there, it's a good prominent natural brow, I honestly would recommend just using a set by itself. Unless, you know, there's parts of the brow that you're like, man, this isn't growing in over here, then that's the purpose of a pencil. You kind of fill it in, even it out. But absolutely, if you have a natural brow that's, you know, you've got a lot of hair there, 100% always recommend using a set. A set on myself probably wouldn't work. Can you see how lacking? So versus me actually putting a brow on, that's just, it wouldn't work for me because it's not enough pigment on my brow. So then I would have to use a brow pencil or a pomade. But my pomades, aside from today, because it's a bad example, I usually should be using a pencil right now. I can't find it. But my pomades, I usually like to use for my evening looks or for my more bolder looks, or if I'm, you know, just wearing a very prime look and my foot wants to lip. Okay, so that means I'm wearing a really sexy red lip that day. Well, then I'm also going to wear a pretty strong brow to help balance that look, to tie it in together. Okay. So this is just, I'm just kind of wrapping this side up again to show. I just kind of put a little bit of a brow on real quick, and that's to show the difference of framing the face. I don't have a brow on this side. I do on this side, and that just kind of ties the look all together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, the only thing you'll really need left to tie in a look, if you're doing a really soft, natural, easy glam, is going to be your mascara and a nice lip. If you're doing anything online, virtually, I don't know if anybody, most people don't feel comfortable doing lashes. I'll be honest with you, the last time, well, I'm sorry, right, when I first started becoming professional and it came to makeup, I could put lashes on other people all day, no problem. But when it came to myself, that was the real struggle bus. So much to the point that I didn't want to do it if I knew I had to be in at a location or store at a certain time, because I knew I was going to spend at least half hour trying to put this lash on and getting frustrated because I couldn't get it right. So totally okay if you don't want to do falsies. If you do, cool. That's a great point. If you're doing photography or video, that's always a great. I know that they make magnetic ones too. I know they're trying to simplify this process for people that struggle with this on the daily, but nonetheless, if you don't want to use those, I really good mascara will get the job done as well. Again, you just want, it's just these little touches that make a difference, that tie in a look. So the mascara that I'm using today, it's one of my favorites. I do try to find different dupes. I'll be very honest with you. I have a very hard time finding a good over-the-counter, meaning store-bought, out of like Walmart, Target, or CVS. I can't find a good mascara that I really love. And I'm picking about my mascaras for a reason. So if there's anything that I would recommend on maybe splurging a bit on, it would be a good mascara. So, and even then, I mean, they're probably $20, if that, if you're getting a nice, good one, and they last you a good while as well. So the one that I'm using today is called Falsies. I apologize there. It looks like
this is where two people spend.
Okay, here we go. I am using one by MAC. It's called False Lashes. Okay, and the top of it, I mean, there's so many mascaras at MAC, so you're like, which one? The top of it has like this weird genie bottle looking shape to it. Okay, and that one's going to be called your False lash. This one I love. They make a white tube that you can purchase to go along with it, and that serves as a primer, a lengthening primer. So this type of mask, Kim K letting on Adam. Pretty easy, pretty simple. So I have a little bit of, you know, a lash going on versus.
Yeah. What a difference. Yep.
It does. It does. It opens up the eye. A trick that I can say that would also help you, that's very subtle. It does not feel like you're wearing a lot of makeup. You can see the eye that has mascara and one that doesn't. But another little trick that I like to use is using a black eyeliner in a pencil form. Okay, I don't usually do this trick with any liquids. So I will usually get a black pencil eyeliner, okay? And I'm going to do something called a tight line, okay? The tight line, if you can manage to be okay with touching your eye, some people freak out, it's okay. You're going to actually, some people like to put that old fashioned liner and that water line in the bottom. I don't put it there on the bottom. I do it on the top, and that's actually called a tight line.
Wow.
And by that little dots in there, okay? And by doing that, I'll show you.
I never
It
even
is
knew
a
that
subtle
was a
way.
possibility to go on the top. That is completely new.
What
to
was
me.
that?
I never realized you could do that. I've done the bottom
Yes.
before, but never like under the top. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, so that's called a tight line. And what it does is it actually gives a little bit, or a lot of it, it's a subtle add that gives a fuller lash. Even if I do it to this eye without the mascara, I'll show you the difference. So this is the eye without mascara and liner, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of that liner in the top. It's automatically gonna make my lashes look fuller, a little more voluminous.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't add anything else in that.
Oh my God. I'm so excited that as soon as we get off of here.
All right, so tight line with mascara is a great way to just add a very quick, easy, natural, polished eye. Waterline on the bottom, I usually do that technique if I'm doing like a smoky eye, because I'm adding a real intense smudge of some sort underneath the lash line on the bottom. The reason I wouldn't really typically put just the eyeliner in that waterline all by itself is because anytime you add a line to the face like that, it's very defining, okay? But in which sense, sometimes that can actually make the eye look a lot smaller versus a lot open and big. So if you are wanting to kind of open the eye a bit, you just don't really know how to do that, I would recommend, if you have a small pencil that's kind of, you know, a more small bristle, at that point, I'll show you a little trick while we're here on this. I would add a little bit of shadow around that, okay? So assuming I'm doing the same on the top, because you really want to keep things balanced on the eye. I'm going to apply a little bit of brown shadow on that tiny brush, and then I'm going to just kind of dab it or sweep it underneath that lash line on the bottom. And this is a very soft, diffused way to apply color without making your eye look smaller. And it's very subtle. It's tough. And I know a lot of people don't realize this unless they're taught otherwise. But if you've got that real harsh line of eyeliner underneath this bottom lash, that's all I can focus on when I'm talking to you. We want to make sure it's blended and very, very soft, because the more soft and diffused a color is, the more open that feature becomes. So now my eye looks a lot bigger because I just added a little bit of that color under the lash line.
Yeah, I love it. Amazing.
And then I would say that all that's really left is a nice little rouge to the lip. So one of my favorite colors that I love, one of my best friends actually gave me a trial size of this one time, and I fell in love with it, and then I went back and bought the real size of it. But Bobbi Brown makes this shade. It's called Babe, and that was our thing. That's the reason he gave the color to me, was because we always just call each other Babe. So he found a lipstick that had the name Babe, and he gave it to me as a gift, and I fell in love with the color. So Bobbi Brown has a beautiful lip collection. She's got a beautiful collection of everything. If you haven't tried any of her products, beautiful highlights, beautiful BB creams, foundation sticks. I mean, she's got a little bit of everything. And again, I'm not going too hard and heavy. If I want to do a really sexy look around the house, I probably go with a little bit more. I mean, whatever makes you feel sexy. For me, I really feel sexy in a nice bold red. And I'm a strong believer that there's a shade of red for every woman. So finding a good shade for you is the task and homework I give you guys. But in terms of having a really pretty polished look that's still very professional, something like this, it adds a little bit of color to the face. I don't look as washed out anymore. I've added a little bit of everything to the key points of my face. And now I can present myself with whatever meeting, interview, or just having some tea and wine around the house.
I love it. That was so perfect. Like, it's doable for all of us. I love it so much. And I really just love how you talked about just in the beginning about how the lighting, my photography heart went pitter patter when you started with the fact that your lighting has to work for you. That's amazing, amazing, amazing advice. So, so for those of you that are going to try this look, I'm just going to reiterate what she said about the lighting coming from a photographer standpoint. You're going to stand in front of the mirror and you're going to put this beautiful look on. Don't go sit in the dark corner of your house when you are on your Zoom call, or especially an interview. You want to make sure that the lighting is hitting you, and you also don't want to make sure that the lighting is too bright, because if you're on a webcam, sometimes it has a hard time of adjusting the exposure. So then all of your work is then blown out. It's just all bright because there's too much light hitting. So you always want to find like the perfect light. If you don't have a ring light, like she said, and I'm actually sitting here with a ring light, so I'm gonna just show you guys the difference. Like, I just put it behind me. Like, do you see the difference? Like, I'm like gray now, and I kind of went right into the right, and then I'm gonna pull my light back. I mean, and not that I have any kind of beautiful makeup on right now, because I don't, but look at the difference already. Imagine if I had good makeup on. So that light is perfect. And like she said, if you don't have a ring light, just make sure you're facing a window. You never want to put the window behind you. I mean, I have a window behind me right now, but that's why I have the ring light in front of me to kind of compensate for that. So if you're not using a ring light, don't sit like this. You would want to turn yourself around and have that light coming in at you. So that way, all your hard work, all the beautiful work you did to your face, everyone can actually see it and appreciate it. So I love it. I'm gonna look and see, do we have any? No more questions. We have all kinds of people saying hi though. Thanks for watching, guys. If you are catching this on the replay, or if you came in a little bit late and you still have questions, pop them into the comments. I'm sure we'll hop in here at any point during the day and answer them. And like I said, you can follow her on Instagram. And I love that you said you offer like one-on-one contouring. That is amazing, because I feel like that's one of the things I'm always lost at. Like when I try to do it, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing for my face. So being able to get a professional's guidance on that, on an online, like, just, you don't have, she's in Texas, but it doesn't matter where you're at, right? Like you can FaceTime with them and tell them exactly what they need to be doing. That is an amazing service. So hope you guys can take advantage of that. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was so great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
I love,
much.
thank you for
I'm
having
so
me.
excited that you are here, and maybe we could do this again. This was like a really good, I learned so much. I would love to have you back one day. Maybe when we're celebrating, when we're out of quarantine, maybe you can come back and give us a glam
Yay.
look. So when we finally get to go out and have a night on the town, we can look amazing. That would be so cool if you could do that for us.
Yes,
Yes.
more
Okay.
than happy.
That is so awesome. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And if you guys found value in this, please share it out. You know, let everybody know all this good information that she has shared with us today, because I know I learned a lot. I have 2 pages worth of notes here. I was taking down as she was talking. I can't wait to go try these things. So thank you so much, Zanetta. And is there anything else you want to add to it?
You can find me, you can try to find me on, I do have a Facebook, it's going to be under Zanetta Roman in parentheses house, same person, but yes. And then my brand is Exhibit Z Makeup Artistry. And that's exactly, if you're on my Instagram, you'll find the link under the profile portion, and you can click on that and take a look at the website that I have built for the makeup business as well. But yes, any questions at all, please don't hesitate. My contact info is in there, and I'm more than happy to help service anybody that's needing any lessons, whether it be online, or down the road, person to person. I'd be more than happy to.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see ya. Bye.
Stay safe.
You too.